Crown Money, where we show you how to pay your home loan off in up to half the time of a normal bank loan.
Guys, welcome to the Crown Money podcast. My name's Scott. I'm the founder of Crown Money, and today we have two of my super special guests. These are really good clients of mine who we've been working with for the last few years, Peter and Leanne O'Shea. Welcome to the pod. We just want to say thank you so much for giving us your time, and we're going to have a chat around your experience, how you found Crown, how you came across Crown, and more importantly, what advice you'd be giving to those others out there who are thinking, is this the right move? So welcome, guys. First question I'd like to ask is, can you take me back to what was life like before Crown? I know that you guys were obviously running the traditional setup. So if you can remember a few years ago, before we sat down, what was that like?
When I suppose we've always tried to pay off more per week than what the banks had asked for. And obviously this is not our first home loan, but we've bought and sold and got to this one. But yeah, I think some of the biggest things were you're trying to put your whole wage in there and living on the scraps. And it just sort of felt like it never seemed to come down.
And I think that was because we thought we were doing really well by putting all of the money into the home loan, but then we'd take a little bit out and a little bit out and a little bit out. And we weren't really making much ground. But I think it's also important to share that it was only 14 years ago that through certain circumstances that when we bought this place, a $650,000 loan. So, and we tried to knock that down pretty quickly, but we weren't really making ground. It felt like we were, but we weren't, because we were pulling it out just as quickly as we were putting it in.
Yeah, we've tried to put $2,000 a week in there at stages, but because it's so visual on the app too, I think it's like, well, we just got to do this, or we just got to pay this bill. It's a quick click, and you're sending $1,000 back to your savings account. So
yeah, how long did that feel like you were treading water financially? Like you're saying 14 years ago, you sort of started on that journey towards debt free, but like, has it just always been the case where like this is that we got money coming in, money going out, but we sort of just feel like we're going sideways?
Yeah, you still sort of feel like you're living week to week, and I mean we've always had pretty good work ethic and pretty good jobs
and loved,
and we thought we were doing extremely well over that 10-year period, I suppose, to get it down to where we got it, but it was still couldn't really see the light at the end of the tunnel. You could never imagine getting rid of that last little bit. It just seemed to be a bit of a hold up there or whatnot. Yeah. I think that's when we went searching for something better.
We've loved to live a good life, and our children, we took them on adventures and did lots of holidays, and the stories and the memories are fantastic. But now our structure feels healthy. Our structure feels that we've got both, but we feel that our goals are very much achievable, where before we would live a life and think that we were achieving, and then we'd get to the end of the year and go, well, actually we haven't.
And that's where a lot of families, where they think that they're doing quite well, and I call them comfortable. And so most people out there said, you know what, I'm doing okay. I don't have crazy credit card debts. I might be paying my credit card off every month, but like they feel just because they don't have a credit card debt that they're doing okay, when in actual fact, you guys were doing far better than the average Australian and still just feeling like you're doing okay. And then all of a sudden we put a few things in place, which we'll talk about in a quick second, and everything starts to escalate. So I'd love to sort of find out how you found out about Crown. Like, how did you first hear about us?
Can you remember?
You found it.
I would say it would have been on social media. And I think for Pete and I, we're always trying to, I believe that education and the more people that you surround yourself with to expand where you want to go and what you want to achieve. Pete and I don't come from a background of parents or families that demonstrated or taught us the skill. So we have made mistakes over the 35 years that we've been together, for sure, because we've tried to learn and tried to do the quick fix or the easy way. And we've had a lot of success, but we've also had many stories of failure. But that's okay, because look where we are now sitting here talking to you, is that we knew from that first conversation that we had with you that you were authentic, you could have just a really good conversation with Pete and I. We just knew that with all the people that we've spoken to over the years about opportunities and plans and sort of going into a partnership for someone to help us, it does come down to just knowing that you've definitely connected with the right person.
That there's people that they're willing to help and do the right thing, and we don't know everything. So especially, we were obviously looking for something better. You know, we were getting to the point where it seemed like it was going nowhere with the banks and going, you know, we're just paying all this money out and it doesn't seem to be achieving anything. So we definitely must have been looking.
Yeah, for sure.
And as you say, the social media, once you start looking, all these things start popping up in different companies. So we must have weeded through a few, and I don't know, it wasn't a recommendation or anything, was it? It was just like research a little bit, and this one looks good, and let's have a chat.
And as you know, Scott, it wasn't just financially, but also too, Pete was going through a health journey, and we just got really serious about making sure that our retirement plan, and I think in Pete's health journey, we went, shit, we're mid-50s and we haven't really thought about our retirement because we thought we had plenty of time. We thought, oh, we'll be right, super will cover it. And when we sat down and we went, we've got a lot of catching up to do. We need to get really serious about this.
Yeah. And why did you choose to work with us instead of doing the DIY path like most Australians do?
I think, like I said before, is I believe that when you partner with the experts, we don't have all the knowledge, and why not build relationships? And the more that you have in your circle, the more that you have on your team. That's what we find.
Yeah. I remember our initial little video conference and whatnot, and the numbers you were talking about and how it worked. I was quite skeptical, going, "Oh, this is bullshit. You know, this doesn't work." I think I came back to you a couple of times to go, "Show me them figures again, because it doesn't compute in my mind." You know, you proved me wrong.
Does it compute in your mind now?
Oh yeah, yeah, not quick enough.
Yeah, and I do remember that. I remember you, and that's normal, you know. It's a big decision.
Yeah.
Like, this is the biggest day of your life. You want to make sure that you're not putting your trust in the wrong people's hands, because a lot of people have been burnt. And so I remember, Pete coming back at least 2 times, like, mate, I just the numbers. I do numbers all day, every day at work. I just need to get my head around this. And Leanne's like, Scott, just work with him here. Once he comes clear and he gets it, it's going to be great. But this is just going to be a little bit of a slower burn. And once it did click, and I said to the first few months, you're going to see the numbers, and they're going to show you the progress versus what you're currently doing. And that's a beautiful part about this work, is the numbers don't lie. Like, there's nowhere to hide. It's there in black and white. And from me, my job is really just to hopefully just deal with the skepticism, which I do every single day and have done for 20 years, of this sounds too good to be true. Why isn't everyone doing this? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so, were there any sort of surprises once you started using the system?
I think for us, it was having a structure and becoming non-negotiable in regards to how the system works, because, well, we knew that you had our back, and to try and take the money out was going to be difficult to just keep doing that like because, you know, obviously that muscle memory was like, oh, we've got all the equity there, just pull it out. So the muscle memory had to change. And every month we would sit down and evaluate where we're at and go, okay.
Well, you're hanging every month to get your statement to see what you've paid off this month.
Yeah. And then we just started doing things differently. And I remember once I said to you, Pete would come home from work and every weekend we'd book a B&B and we'd go off on an adventure. And you said, well, you can still do that. And I said, well, actually, Scott, that's the healthy part about this journey for us, is that looking at things differently, everything differently.
Reevaluate everything. It hasn't affected our lifestyle
that much
at all. And you think about what we've done in the time, we've still done renovations on the house. So we've still had a big outlay there. You know, we've
still gone on plenty of adventures.
With the cost of renovations after COVID and whatnot was ridiculous. Yeah, and it hasn't affected us at all, but we get that monthly statement going, you've paid this much off your loan this month, and I think all that too, just the support and the communication.
And what's in the bank
know.
account is what we have for the week because it's completely separate. So you know where you're at. We know where we're at because it's non-negotiable. So our goal per month to come off our equity is non-negotiable. So what else can we do to generate a little bit more cash flow so we can still maintain our lifestyle? So it's also not only got us thinking about what we spend our money on and how we can maintain that monthly goal, but also too, what can we do within my business and our opportunities for cash flow, multiple streams of cash flow to allow us to keep renovating, to keep going on adventures without it impacting what Crown is doing for us through our wages, if that makes sense.
That
So
makes
I'll give you
total
an
sense.
example, Scott. Now that the kids have left home, and as you know, Pete works away, we've rented out a room in our house and they pay, and that cash flow makes such a massive difference.
Wow.
Huge amount of difference. And we get to have someone really wonderful live with us and doesn't have an impact on us at all. But it's the sacrifices that you make, but also too, it's identifying where there's other ways to improve your cash flow while you're achieving this great goal over here.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
So there's two levers I always talk about. One's income, one's expenses. We find, obviously, if we can try and help reduce your fixed costs, audit your bills, find you cheaper gas, electricity, insurances, that's all well and good. But the other real mover is the income side of things. And so what you've been really good at is looking at how can we generate more income, which means more surplus, which accelerates this whole process. And one of the sort of factors which not many people realize is happening when they do jump on this home ownership plan is they become conscious spenders. And so that is very difficult to do by yourself. And the reason for that is primarily we're taught at school is income minus expenses equals savings. No one's got any savings left at the end of each and every month because their expenses equal their income. And so that means they're spending unconsciously, primarily on a credit card where you don't know how much you've spent, where it's gone, and you'll get a credit card bill at the end of the month for 5, 7, 8 grand, and you don't and can't itemize that 5 to 8 grand that you've spent on that credit card because you spent it unconsciously. Whereas when you've got a set amount of money, $750 per week to cover your food, fuel, and fun, your psychology shifts from what do I want to what do I need? That's $750. And if I need any extra, I know it's 8 hours away from basically hitting my bank account. And thereby I'm consciously making that decision to pull the extra funds out of the redraw, wherever it may be. But that there in itself stops impulse buys, and that conscious spending all of a sudden has a flow-on effects to all these other areas in your life. Okay, what else can I be looking at? And so I was having a chat to a client yesterday. I said, you need to audit all your expenses and go through it with, does this make me happier? And if it's not making me happier, then maybe it's a want, not a need. And so by just really sort of going through expenses based on how much happiness they give you, and there's a lot of stuff which you're just doing but doesn't move the needle for you in terms of your level of happiness there. And so that conscious spending that you guys have experienced and then taking to another level because you're like, okay, that expense is under control. What about income? And so getting an extra bit of income coming through really starts to push the pedal to the metal. So how much faster are you paying off your house now compared to what you were doing before? Same income, same loan amount.
So before we were trying to focus on $2,000 a week, so one individual's wage. But like I said, we were doing that, but we were then pulling it out just as quick. Let's do this renovation, or let's do this, or let's do that.
And bills. So that $2,000 a week going into the bank.
Into the home loan.
Into the home loan, yeah. It wasn't covering our bills. What we do now, like Scott just said, they cover our bills, which also takes that monetary stress off keeping an eye on your spending account to make sure you got money in there to pay the bills, and all of a sudden a bill comes along and you thought you had $500 left, and all of a sudden it's telling you got none in there.
Yeah.
And and that used to stress me out immensely. Arguing with each other about who spent what, yesterday, and now the bank's got no money in it, and what are you doing that for? So, look, I think at the rate we're paying our home loan off now without doing lots and lots of figures, I'd say we're 10 times better off.
Yeah, it's
You
an
know.
average of say 7,000 to 8,000 a month off the equity.
No, into the equity.
Into the
Yeah,
equity.
which is
Is that right?
5,000. I think
Reducing it.
5,000 a month off the principal. You know, and we are also paying other loan amounts out of that for investments and whatnot. So that 5,000 off the principal per month, plus all the bills, plus everything else getting paid out of there, is pretty freaking amazing, you know. Whereas
Not
we'd
many
have sticking
Australians
$8,000 in
paying.
before and probably paid $2,000 off if we were lucky.
If we're lucky, yeah.
Yeah.
And also too is that through you, Scott, through identifying a really good investment property opportunity with the returns, those returns are also supporting us in regards to our primary principal being totally debt-free by the end of the year. And
Wow.
then applying the same process to our investment properties. That is incredible, considering that, you know, calculating the years that, you know, I want Pete to retire, say, in 3 years' time. It is absolutely achievable now. And for that, I'm forever grateful, because I think to know that you have a choice in regards to what your future looks like in your later years is probably one of the best positions to be in.
100%. Like, to just put that into perspective here, you've gone from paying $2,000 per month off per week into a home loan. Now that obviously covered principal and interest, and now that debt reduction before we met, I've got it here. You're running it around like just over $25,000 per year is what you're paying off your house, which is pretty good. The average Australian does 10 to 12,000 per year. So you're already, like, in your mind, do you know what, we're doing okay. You're doing 24,000 a year off the principal. All of a sudden, we put you in the right structure. We utilize your income. We give you accountability. We track and measure everything. We automate everything. And then we're doing close to 5,100 a month, $60,000 a year off the principal. Same income, same loan amount, just a different strategy. One that's been designed to get you out of debt, because the banks are designing strategies to keep you in debt. Surprise, surprise. And now you're saying we want Pete to retire in 3 years. And when will we have your house paid off at this rate?
Well, by the end of this year, absolutely.
And how does that feel, knowing that at the end of this year, you own your home and you're going to get like that freedom from mortgage prison?
Yeah, amazing.
You know, well, it's been a goal for a long time.
It has been a goal for a long time.
Felt unachievable there for a little while. Didn't it?
Yeah. And it just, that freedom. And I think that, you know, like any Australian, is that everyone works hard. But I think it's now just, we're leading our future, not just waiting and seeing what happens. And that is empowering. And I think, like you said, is that money comes down to mindset. And that's the greatest thing that we've learned here with Crown, is that money isn't something to be scared of. It's just being in the right mindset and consciously seeing it on paper, like Pete saw it on paper. And then once he saw it on paper, there was no stopping us.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I think
like
Scott nearly
5,000
fell
a month.
over when you first told him your goals. And
Yeah.
yeah, righto. We'll see.
Yeah. I did. I like ambitious clients, and that's why I like working with you guys. Like, you got really high goals, but that's a challenge for me, you know? I mean, like, when you do something every day of your life for 23 years, and then all of a sudden you've got someone who says, we want to pay a house off in 3 years. I'm like, oh, okay, let's get the party started. This is a challenge. This is exciting.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the really important things which we haven't spoken about is, because that confidence that you've got in your financial position, you then sort of started to feel like, do you know what, Scott, maybe we could look at some investment. So can you walk me through, since we met, some of the assets that you've looked at, what you've done to those assets to add value to them, and what the cash flows come off those assets? Because you talked about looking at opportunities to create more income. And so, yeah, you can work harder, you can do second jobs, all these sort of things. But one thing which is really impressive with you guys, like, no, let's buy assets that put money into our account each and every month. And that means that we've got passive income as opposed to trying to do it by trading time for money.
Yeah. Through you, obviously with our one of our properties, it's land only, and so you've encouraged us to build on that land and for it to become an investment. We do get a little bit of cash flow from that property at the moment, and that's our next goal, is to build on that and to have it as a rental. I was fortunate to be working in an area where I came across an investment property that it was commercial, but it had two, and it had a residential house and a commercial shed, and it had two means of income. And it was purely just by my vision, understanding the area, understanding what would you call it, the
demand around the place.
the demands
Yeah.
for the
rental.
industry that was in that town, and having the understanding of commercial and knowing that both the incomes would generate, I think it's over 12% that we're generating from this property, and to buy a property in this market. And so I went in with a ridiculous offer because I knew the story. It had only just been built, brand new,
Quite finished.
not quite finished, but
Minor things.
very minor.
Cupboards.
We've just
Yeah.
one cupboard, some curtains, putting the wardrobe rod in,
Yeah. Little things.
very little
Yeah.
things. And I just went in with an offer 70,000 under the asking price. And I think that he could put it all under the business and he wanted just out. And so he said yes. Huge thanks to you, Scott, because you made it work. You got it over the line, and that was the game changer, because now that income is also contributing to us very quickly reducing our debt.
That's returning $1,200 a week.
Yeah.
And I think as part of that, you understanding us a little bit,
Yeah.
and certainly we put all the figures forward, and it didn't look. I actually don't think I was working at the time. I was in between jobs, and you still made it work. You put your team to work, and they worked very hard, and such an ease for our side of things. All the work was done on your side.
Yeah.
And it made it
It
work.
was one of those deals.
And after we bought that, there were so many people going, how did we miss out on that? Who bought that? And Leanne was very quiet about it until it got out, and they went.
And it got out in the community very quickly, and they're like, "Oh my God, Leanne, good on you." And we've gone and done some work to it, and it's been really enjoyable.
We've added value to it. Like I say, we got a bit of a lump sum to finish that house off and add to it. Really, not finish it off, but add to it, because we thought it needed a extra space for the carport.
Yeah.
So again, that redraw was talked about, and then.
And I think too, Scott, is that working with your level of knowledge and you getting to know us, is that we now have a different level of confidence to go out and seek out ways to build our portfolio. And our portfolio is very diverse in regards to different ways of investing, and we have taken it upon ourselves later on in life, but very quickly, within 2 years later on in life, it has flipped through connecting with someone that is willing to get on the phone and wants you to win as much as we want ourselves to win. It's not like just a transaction. It doesn't feel like it's just a transaction.
No.
We really do feel like that you have our back and want us to win, and that you don't get that very much these days. It sounds like they will, and then as soon as you do the transaction, you just can't get them on the phone. And yeah.
Leanne's a visionary and excitable, and I'm skeptical, and Scott's calm.
It's a perfect love triangle. Can you guys just go through the numbers? Just off the top of your head, what did you buy that asset for? What did you put into it, and now what's it renting for? And what's it worth now?
So we paid it was on the market for $570, and I paid $520.
$520, yeah. And then we spent $20,000 on the carport.
And now it returns
$1,200 a week.
$1,200 a week.
So,
So let's
you're
say
in for
so
40?
650,
650 for the residential property and 450 for the shed.
and also to
And the shed's under commercial lease, so it's twin lease.
Yeah.
Separate people running there. So yeah.
but also too is that it's all brand new, and that was a thing for us, is
Yeah.
that we've done property investing in the past, but one, it didn't quite work is because we bought properties that needed a lot of maintenance. We were spending more money on maintenance than we were, and we thought that they were good buyers because they were cash flow properties, but
Yeah, no depreciation left in them. Whereas this one, like I say, it's brand new, so you've got a good schedule. It probably helps our tax immensely because we all pay way too much tax. So any benefit we get out of that's good.
And we recently just bought a commercial property through our self-managed super, and we got really comfortable with commercial, seeing what that property did for us.
Yeah.
And so now we're really, as you know, we've been a bit slow with our Jurien Bay because we had an attachment to it, but we now see that it's okay. So, that's the next conversation we need to have, is to start building on Jurien and get that to be an income producing
Investment.
as well.
Well done. Not many Australians can buy a property for $520, put 20 grand into it, have it owe them $540,000 and get $1,200 a week rent for a $540,000 debt. That's insane.
I know.
Everybody listening here is like, how do we get more of these? I'm sure everyone in the town saying that as well.
Yeah.
What's it worth now? Like, do you think there's been any uplift? Like, if you had to sell it today, do you think what could you
Oh,
get for it?
absolutely. Definitely.
We'd make $100,000 on it tomorrow.
Straight up. Yeah. And there's a part of me that thinks that after 12 months, because I only did a 12-month property management lease on it, should I manage it myself? But I'm now starting to think that, again, because I'm just thinking, where can we save money? But I'm starting to think, no, make it easier on yourself. So I still haven't made that decision, but
No, so you got to look at it where you are in life and what your load is already. And yet, yes, it is a 9% management fee, isn't it? Seem to take that away. And when you add all that up again, you go, that's a lot of money a year.
yeah, when you think of $7,000 a year.
But you're putting it back on yourself.
Yeah.
You like, by the time you drive up and down, by the time you do this, by the time you do that, that $9,000.
That's it. You're getting to a point very, very close, which is my favorite point in life, where you're able to buy your time back. And so that's where it starts to flip. It's like I'm trading time for money, but you guys are in that final sort of ascent towards Everest. Like, now I can start to use the money to buy my time back. And that's the exciting part. And that's what true freedom is about. So, hey, yeah, I will pay someone $7,000 to get that extra hour or two back every week.
Yes.
Or whatever that may be. And so those are the trades that we start to look at. Now, what would you say to someone who's sitting there, they're on the fence about joining Crown, they've seen the same social media that you have, they're thinking, like Pete was, this is too good to be true, why isn't everyone doing this? What would you say to that person who's sitting on the fence and just umming about joining Crown Money?
I think that is that, we're just two hard workers that do want to live a good life, and we have said yes to certain things that didn't work out or was not so much a scam but fell apart, and we have lost money in the past due to things, but
so
we can
the
honestly,
skepticism comes in these days with so much on social media.
But we can honestly say that Scott and Crown has been the biggest game changer for us, and we just feel that it's family. They want you to win, and you don't get that much these days. You really don't. Everyone's out for their own. And I think that building a community of knowledge, but because you've helped us in many areas, Scott, not just paying off our home loan. And that is something that we're forever grateful for. And I believe that, your character and who you are in society to build a better community is so important.
Used to I'd get our monthly statement at work and call it out in the office how much I'd paid off this month. And I've sent a couple of people your way, and I don't know what the outcome of that was, but they asked questions, and I just was quite honest with them, going, it's so easy. It's helped us immensely, and
I know a few people from my work that have joined Crown.
Yeah. So we have recommended it, and those people have gone that way and had the conversation and made up their own mind, obviously. But yeah, it's an easy conversation to have because
And that's
it is
something
so
to
easy
say
for us,
too.
and
We've been
helped
involved
us
in
out.
things in the past, shared it with our friends, and it didn't
Gone
work for
sour.
all of us.
Yeah.
We can put our feet firmly on the ground and share this with anybody, because we didn't want to ever do that again, because we've been burnt
Yeah.
sharing it with friends. There is no hesitation at all in regards to the authenticity and the
Quite easy to
the
say.
outcomes.
Quite easy to say. Get away from the big four and get a bit of your life back.
Try something different because
Yeah.
what you're currently doing is not working as well as
Not
it probably
working.
could be.
Yeah. It's funny.
You
It
have?
is still funny, isn't it? How many people are just stuck in their ways and just go, oh yeah, and don't do anything about it, and they'll still be
Yeah,
stuck.
it's super sad. Super sad. I see it every day where they just choose to, like, just because there's a little bit of something different, they're scared of different. And so they just keep the course. They're going to retire with a mortgage. They're going to have to use their super to pay off their mortgage. Then they're going to be on a pension. It's like, you worked your entire life for $650 a week on a pension. Is that where you actually didn't take a risk? And I always say to clients, what's more risky? Doing nothing and retiring with a mortgage, or trying something different for a year?
Yeah.
You can always leave. There's no handcuffs. So it's not like you're stuck. Don't like it? Leave the next day. You're free to
Yeah.
go. You've sent more than clients over. You've actually sent Hayley, one of, she's obviously a client, and then she loved what she was doing so much. She said, can I do this for work? Like, can I work with you guys? And so she's a great team member at Crown. And so not only you're sending us clients, you're sending us teammates and employees. Yeah. So thank you for that. She's an
I saw
absolute gem.
someone that I worked with when I worked with Hayley. Someone else that we worked with just recently joined Crown, and she shared her gift that she got. And I'm like,
Yes.
she got a bigger pack than what we got 2 years ago. She shared it on social media. So that's how I knew that she'd joined Crown, because she shared the amazing pack. And I remember when we got our pack, I was like, oh my goodness.
Never get nothing like that.
But I'm like, I want to do it again. I want to get what she got.
Okay. Well, instead we'll build on Jurian. We'll be there in a heartbeat. Guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. So good to have a chat. This is my favorite part of the job. Like, if I had to wake up and just do nothing but these conversations each and every day, I'd just be on cloud nine. It's my favorite part. Just seeing the difference of the before versus after, you guys and your story. I'd love to sort of show Pete, you guys right now, when we first met, said, mate, just run with me on this. Look what you're going to be saying in just 2 years. You can have your house paid off. You can have an investment property you bought for $540, paying you $1,200 per week, and you're going to be able to retire debt free. I think he would have said, mate, if you can do that, you're some magician.
Yeah.
We continue to work together. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything.
Yeah, thank you so much, Scott.
Pleasure.